Okay.
Hey, Soul Survivors. I am here with Joel Chapman. And on this Thanksgiving Eve, we are going to talk about a success story after narcissistic abuse. So, Joel, you had a fantastic adventure where you went out and you were speaking with the UFC and you were MMA fighter, boxer, things like that. So, please tell us about your success story.
Okay, pretty much I just went to Vegas. I'm shooting. I'm not going to tell you like what network I'm pitching it to, but I'm pitching a very high quality show to a network. And I'm actually pitching it to the UFC as well. This is something I've been shooting for quite a long time, actually years, technically. So this is something that I've been working on for a long time, but um I think I just told you like not too long ago, like I have a new woman in my life, and she's just like gave me that focus to the point to where I could even get to this point to do the trip to kind of follow my dreams.
So yeah,
Because
we were talking that you went through some narcissistic abuse from different women, and also now that you're with somebody new, that they're encouraging you, they're not holding you back. And I've been following you on Facebook. You guys can look him up as well, Joel Paul Chapman, and see his story and just your energy level and your motivation. Because when we go through that narcissistic abuse, it can really cut us down. We can get stuck in a rut, but you've like flourished. And what was it that made you reach out to the UFC? What are some of your goals, purpose? Because that's a big trip. That's
yeah, it's a very
we're
big trip.
in three different time zones. So he
Oh,
traveled pretty far to go to Vegas.
okay, well, what happened is it's a UFC owner. His name is Dana White. He's a billionaire. He's extremely smart. He's one of the best businessmen in the world in history, and he runs the UFC. And I want a job with the UFC. I want to do this show. I do portraits. I do very high level portraits, and I want to do.
Excellent artist. Excellent artist.
Thank you, thank you. They have a memorabilia department, and I want to do pretty much portraits. Have the really famous fighters sign them and sell those pieces. Pretty much the epoxy business is a multi-million-dollar business by itself.
Now, let me tell
Without
you this real quick. I got two things, and I don't mean to cut you off, but it might help you. I had a friend who did artwork for different sports teams, but he got like scammed really bad. A lot of times they would steal his work. So definitely be cautious on that. But I had another friend who makes a ton of money selling used sports equipment. So he'll sell like hockey sticks and jerseys where the player wins them or they wore it in the Stanley Cup. And maybe it's an autograph or you can do your artwork on it, or like maybe a baseball mitt with like a cool teddy bear on it or whatever your artwork would be, like the Cubs, whatever. But it's used equipment and you can do new and used, but somehow with the fact that the player used it, and they go through where they sell, get rid of their hockey sticks. I don't know if he exchanges it for new. So maybe it's $150 for a new one where you trade out so you get the old one, but you can sell it for $3,000 now. I don't know how his business dealings work with it, but that's something to think about.
yeah, I'm very much on that path. Like I have a very thought out business plan, and that's what I'm going into. Very similar to what you said, except the thing is, I do it with art. I do it with my own custom art. I mean, don't get me wrong, people can try to copy me, they're not me.
No,
You
he's
know what I
got
mean?
some cool art. Like I was an art teacher last year, but he blows me out of the water. And it's not just art though. There's like personality in it. So it's not just, a beautiful scene. It's not a pretty portrait. It's like he could take, what you guys see now, and it would just be so different. And some of your backgrounds, the things that you painted on, is
Yeah,
another thing. It's not all canvas. It's not just t-shirts. It's very creative. And I'm
thank,
impressed with your artwork. As an
thank you.
elementary teacher,
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really, truly appreciate it. And the thing is, when I did get to the UFC, they were impressed with the artwork. They were impressed with the product. So I feel like it's just a matter of time. The table that I brought a table to them. The table I coated in 24 karat gold. It's extremely beautiful. It's one of a kind. It's very unique. And that was pretty much my resume to the UFC. and I'm trying to go back to Vegas next month. Hopefully I can get a press pass. I'm going to have the episode fully edited. So I'm going to give them pretty much, if this show gets picked up, my life changes. It completely
So
changes.
is your show based on boxing, or is it based on like a life story?
It's a sports art history show.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty much. I do artwork. How it's going to be set up, I can tell you how it's set up. Have the episode, well, the episode is going to start at the beginning of me doing the artwork. I'm going to go into the backstory about the fighters. So you'll see the artwork. You will actually get a backstory about the fighters. I will show you the process of me creating the pieces, and then I will actually physically go to the event. I will get their reaction of the artwork, have them sign it, and we will auction the pieces off for the UFC or whatever. And then you will see whatever other drama goes on at the event with the fighters. And then at the end of the episode, they're pretty much fighting to be the event. I will show traveling. I will show the good
Yeah,
places to
the
go.
traveling gets people interested too.
Yes, yes.
And
So
then just have Taylor Swift follow along and
yeah, if only, if only. But that's the concept of the show. I have enough film. Like the sweet thing is, my friend, he's the light heavyweight champion of the world. His name is Jamal Hill. And he was the one who invited me to the UFC PI. You can't just go to the UFC PI. Probably 20 people in the state of Michigan have ever been in that place. That's about it. Like
wow.
it's yeah, you have to be invited and you have to know a UFC fighter. Well, he invited me in there, and then it was sweet. When I was shooting my film, I was shooting right next along to ESPN. It was ESPN, and it was me and ESPN shooting. We were
Wow.
shooting that workout, and the guy that I was shooting, it was the main event for the fight that next night that fought on ESPN. And it was very interesting because I mean my friend is a world champion of the UFC. I mean millions of people know who he is, and I did a portrait for him. That's my profile picture. I did a portrait of him. I didn't know that was his aunt. His aunt had passed away, and
Oh.
I did a piece for his aunt. So like he really loved the piece. It touched him. I mean, I have his reaction on camera of me giving him the piece, stuff like that. I got really
So
personal
how
too
did you end up doing an art piece on his aunt?
because I did a table for him because he's such a big name. I did a table for him, in his honor. I couldn't bring the table because it cost too much to bring. So I didn't want to come empty handed. So I seen his profile picture. I knew it was somebody important. So
Oh,
I did a portrait of his aunt as well. I surprised him with that.
I see how you did it. Very smart.
Thank you,
Very
thank you,
smart.
thank you.
Make it
And
personalized and
yes, and then next, and I looked over in the cage next to us. It was somebody who I looked up to. His name is Frank Mir. He's a really good UFC fighter. He's a very high level UFC fighter. He was a world champion. He fought Brock Lesnar, who was this big wrestler. Well, he was in the cage with the 4-time world strongest man. His name is Brian Shaw. That dude, I didn't really know who he was. I knew who he was, but I didn't know who he was. That man was 6'9", 470 pounds.
6'9". I'm 6'1".
Yeah, well, he's a lot bigger than
490 pounds though. Was it all muscle or is he just bulked up?
he's a world strong. He won the world's strongest man. He's the strongest man on the planet 4 times. So
Wow.
it's not just it's
Yeah,
just
that's
not.
obviously
He's a
muscle.
big dude, and I got a chance to see him train. He has 6 million followers. I didn't know that. Like he has his own show and everything, and I didn't really know how big of a deal it was until I posted a picture and they're like, "Oh my goodness, you were training, you met him," and I'm like, "Yeah," but he has 6 million followers. Everybody follows him. I guess I don't, but
Oops.
so it
At
was
least
it
you're
was a
not
good
following the crowd, right?
right, right.
Hey,
But
you
but
follow me,
overall,
don't you?
you know what?
Do you follow me?
I do follow
I
you.
know
I do
you
follow.
do.
Yes, yes, yes. So overall, it was a good experience. I got a chance to meet some very high level people, and hopefully my show gets picked up. And you
So
know,
what would cause them to decide to pick you up? Is it based on their projections on how many people would watch it or advertisers? What would cause them to make their
it's a combination of things. The thing is, with a show like that, I think that I could bring a different demographic to the UFC, because if I get it picked up on the network that I'm thinking about pitching it to, people will watch an art show. And when you watch an art show, you might not know about the UFC fighters. Now we'll be able to get a chance to
Ooh,
kind of bring their
bring in
personality and bring
people.
other people to the sport. Yes.
Yeah, so you
So
got
I
that little
crossing it over. So I truly think, I mean, especially me being a guide, you know, through the events and doing artwork, I think that will be very interesting. And the thing is, I want to time stamp everything, because when it boils down to it, it will be a history show, because
yeah.
those events are big events.
So you can cover history, art, the
Travel.
UFC, fighting, all that stuff. And also a lot of times the people that buy art usually have money. If you see some of these paintings, they go for thousands, millions sometimes.
Yes. And the UFC is owned by a whole bunch of movie stars.
Oh,
It's owned by the Serena sisters, the sisters that
oh,
play tennis,
right.
Mark Wahlberg, Sylvester Stallone, The Rock, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. They bought the UFC for $4 billion.
Do you follow, I think you do, Lendell Johnson, tennis player?
Yes, the name sounds familiar.
Yeah, because he just posted something about the Serena and her sister
Yeah,
recently. So that might have something.
they're actually the biggest shareholders of the UFC. They own the most shares of the UFC that the sisters do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, was their dad, was he a tennis player or he was
I don't know. I'm not sure.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's
Oh,
interesting that they got involved in the fighting.
the
So as
money is,
far, yeah, money, that's true.
yeah,
Money talks.
yeah, it does. It does. Yeah.
So moving forward, with the person you're with now, how do you see her supporting you versus like how the others would have supported
I
you?
mean, it's night and day. When you have somebody supporting you very well, you feel better, you're happier. I don't feel like I'm getting beat down. I feel like she supports me. It's just better. You know, I'm happier, I'm more focused. If I didn't have the right woman in my life, I wouldn't be this focused. I wouldn't be able to do this.
Now, did
Because
she travel with you to Vegas or not?
she did not travel this time,
And
but
that's what I
hopefully
was
next time.
hoping you would say, that because she trusted you.
Yeah.
If you are with a narcissist, a lot of times they'd either be blowing up your phone, razzling you, so it's hard to focus when you're trying to give your sales pitch. So
That,
she's
that's what happened
supporting you.
the
We
first
don't
time I
always,
was
let me
the
say this real quick. We don't
oh,
always get support when people are necessarily where they have to be right by our side. She was miles away and was able to support you in a different way. That's
I
good.
agree. I agree. And like I was gonna say, the first time I went to Vegas, I was actually dating a narcissist, and they were freaking out like, "Oh, you cheating on me? You doing this? You doing that?" And I found out a little while ago that chick was sleeping with her baby dad while I was in Vegas.
See,
So
that's the thing too. And a narcissist
that
will
day,
blame you, but they're doing it. It's
yep,
that projection. They
yep,
figure if I
night,
can do it, you're probably doing it too, but they won't come clean and say that they're doing it.
yep. So night and day. My girlfriend now, I completely trust her. I don't even think anything crazy. It wouldn't even be a thought. And the thing is, like, when you have that type of bond with somebody, when they're not beating you down or just tearing you apart, it's nice. You feel like you have somebody else in your corner. Well, when you're with a narcissist, it feels like you fighting with the narcissist and you just trying to breathe, and it's hard to even function. You know, like it's just night and day. If I was with the wrong woman, like I feel like that's what almost held me back for so long. I
Oh,
mean,
I'm
I'm a
sure.
cop. Yeah, yeah, seriously.
Even just the preoccupation in your head of, do I do this? Do I not do it? We start walking on eggshells, and we try to play it safe. Like, is it worth the argument?
It's not. You will never be able to make a narcissist happy, ever, ever. Like, there's nothing that you can do. You're just fresh meat to them, and when they get tired of you, they just throw you away and then go to the next victim.
What's the longest relationship that you've had? Whether and you can take the on and off, the time
6 years.
span, the full time,
6 years. 6 years.
6 years. Okay.
Yes. What about
So
you?
they can last quite a while sometimes.
But when the girl who I dated for 6 years was not a narcissist though.
No.
No, no.
So
Oh,
So I'm
you
talking about like the narcissistic relationships. What's the long,
oh, a
not the
year and a
longest
half,
relationship you've
a
had?
year and
Because
a
I'm
half.
glad you said that. Just because we break up does not mean that the person was a narcissist.
Exactly. No, the longest I dated as a narcissist was a year and a half, and I couldn't do it anymore. I just and when I had to, she would not break up with me. Like, so I had to break up with her, and I found out the reason why a narcissist most of the time will not break up with you is because they have to be the victim. So if
Yes.
yes, so if you break up with a narcissist, they can be like, "Oh, they broke up with me, they hurt me," so they can be the victim. So
Mhm.
she like, oh goodness. So yeah, it was a year and a half, and it was horrible.
So you were
Yes.
the one that ended up saying enough is enough.
Yeah, I had to. I couldn't. It wasn't mentally healthy. So I had to cut my losses and move on.
And a
Yeah.
lot of times, when you're an empathetic person, you try to fix things that we sometimes don't feel comfortable leaving. But there's times like you were strong enough to do that. But it gets to a point where you're just going to be miserable. And
You just have to cut it off. But I gotta get my little gremlin in bed.
yeah, go
So
ahead and tuck him in. And thanks for joining us. And I'd love
uh,
to have you again.
okay, thank you. Of
Congratulations. Keep
course.
us posted.
Okay, I will. All
All
right,
right,
thank you
take
very
care.
much. All right, you too. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.